Park District Board meeting to order. Today is August 11th, 2025. Any additions or deletions to the agenda?
None.
Okay, moving on to public communication from visitors. See nobody in the crowd tonight. We'll open and close that portion of the meeting. Moving on to minutes, approval of June 14th, 2025 regular meeting minutes and the July 28th, 2025 special meeting minutes. Can we get a motion to approve?
I'll make motion to approve the June 14th, 2025 regular meeting minutes and the July 28th, 2025 special meeting minutes.
Motion by Commissioner Freilich.
I'll second.
Second by Commissioner Mutter. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right, moving into our agenda, item number 1, presentation from Madison Cermak, Business Development Director, to approve support for extending the Renaissance Zone for downtown Mandan. Hi, Madison.
Good evening, President Meshke and Park Board members. Like you said, I am Maz Cermak, the Business Development Director here at the City of Mandan. So I'm going to do a short presentation about the Renaissance Zone, the program renewal. So if we could get it on the screen. It's loading.
It's not showing this one. Just close it. Full screen.
All right, we'll try this again. So I'm here to do a little presentation on the Renaissance Zone, the 2025 program renewal. So the Mandan Renaissance Zone was established in 2005. The Renaissance Zone was established at the 56th Legislative Assembly, and that was in 1999. We didn't establish it till 2005 due to the diesel spill and kind of figuring out what we were going to do at that point. But it is a tool to help cities revitalize their communities, mostly in the downtown area. And that's by offering both state and local incentives for 5 years. For both residents and business owners are provided with an incentive to invest in the community. I have 92 projects completed, but that is an error. There is 97 projects completed so far, and that is with over $30 million in private investments. So on average, the cost of property tax incentive for Renaissance Zone projects is recouped within 2 years and 3 months after the property re-enters the tax rolls. So you can see our boundary we have. It is a 37-block area. So for the state, there are criteria for determining the amount of blocks per community, with a starting a minimum of 34 blocks per 5,000 in population. You get 1 additional block added per 5,000 people in population. So Mandan can technically have now up to 39 blocks. In our 39 block total properties in the boundary, we have 180 commercial, 192 residential, and 27 exempt. And you can kind of see that 24 block and 25 block are very large. That is an advantage that we have since they are contiguous blocks. With many businesses in those blocks. So in 2020, the Mandan Renaissance Zone Committee added a 2-block contiguous area. This on the Memorial Highway. This area was determined at the time by different studies and surveys as potential for redevelopment by having a tool to give property owners additional boost to generate projects. So we have kind of the Farland Properties, Faulkner Seeds, Metal Craft Products, Welding, Marshall's Lumbers, and Manufactured Home Court and Excel's Homes. We do think that after the Memorial Highway project reconstruction is complete, that we may see some development happening over there. So the types of complete projects so far from 2005 to present, we've had 33 rehab, 38 leases, 10 new construction, 4 residential, 7 purchase with improvements, and 3 leasehold improvements. So you can kind of see that the most popular is the commercial rehab projects. And in order to receive that, they have to receive the full incentive, the applicants must reinvest at least 50% of what the building's value currently is. And then with that, 80% has to be with capital improvements. So an example of this is that if a building's true value is $450,000, the minimum of investment the applicant needs to put in is $225,000 with $180,000 in capital improvements. And then just a little side note that the property owners still pay the land value and special assessments to their property. A little example of our most recent Renaissance Zone project is, you've probably seen this on 1121 East Main Street. It is Dakota Customs. It was a rehab and lease project, so Midwest Rentals LLC purchased and rehabbed the building. Dakota Customs was able to retain their business in Mandan. The beginning assessed value of this building was $295,000. The property owner's actual private investment into the building, as completed, has been $2,363,031. So it's a very large investment that we've had, which is a great thing. So completed Renaissance Zone projects between 2005 and present have resulted in 12 retained, 25 expanded, and 21 new businesses. And other community benefits from projects include generating sales tax revenue, adding new jobs, and providing additional products and services. So a little data and analytics. Right here, you can see that we have a graph. This shows the yearly beginning assessed values. The blue bar is the beginning assessed value, and then the orange bar is the new assessed value. So you can see that the large difference in between the beginning assessed and then after it's completed. And like I said before, on average, the cost of property tax incentive for Renaissance Zone projects is recouped within 2 years and 3 months after property re-enters the tax rolls. And then at the bottom there, you can also see that the value of beginning assessments on projects from 2005 to present totaled to $9.9 million. And the value of new assessments on completed projects from 2005 to 2024 increased to a total of $12.6 million. So the average new assessed property value increased by approximately 109% from 2005 to 2024. All right. So during the North Dakota 60th Legislative Assembly, adjustments to the Renaissance Zone incentives were made, including Renaissance Zone extensions may be granted up to 10 years. Previously, extensions were capped at 5 years. The Mandan Renaissance Zone Committee recommended to update the extension from 5 to 10 years. And then future recommendations may include to opt to have 2 islands to the primary contiguous zone. Each island can be up to 3 contiguous blocks. And they were a high contender right now would be the old high school site, but it has not been approved formally. Other adjustments included, with no action from Renaissance Zone Committee, you could have eligible projects may now receive up to 8 taxable years of Renaissance Zone benefits instead of 5 years. But we didn't think it was necessary at this time. So yeah, next steps. The current program will expire at the end of this month, August 31st. We are seeking that 10-year extension. And even though the city is not required by state to have a formal parks approval, we believe at the city and the Renaissance Zone that all taxing entities should be involved in the process with the continued support for the program. If you have any questions, let me know. Sorry, a little out of breath. I feel like a baby is punching me in the stomach right now, so.
So you're just looking for support from the Park District in extending it for 10 years, is that correct?
That is correct.
So when you talk about, just question about the islands, so like the one off Memorial, is that considered one island right now, or?
That would be considered one island, and we can have up to 2 now. So and I was going to mention too that if there's no activity that happens on an island, or if there's no redevelopment that happens, or if the owners don't have any wanting to do redevelopment, we can take that island and move it to a different area.
And that committee decides those things and makes those recommendations? Okay.
Correct, yep.
Madison, are you expanding it to 39 blocks? Did I hear you right?
I knew you were going to ask questions. No, well, we could. It could go up to 39 blocks. That is something that the Renaissance Zone Committee can include to do. It would just have to do kind of like a little surveying of where those would want to be in, because they had to be contiguous of the boundary. So I think last time they added blocks, they did a lot of surveying of businesses to see who potentially would want to do improvements and what areas of town needed the most improvements.
So the islands are separate from those blocks then, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Anything else from Madison? Well, you better take care of that baby. So I guess formal motion to.
I'll make a motion to give the Park District support for extending the Renaissance Zone for downtown Mandan the additional 10 years.
I'll second.
Motion by Commissioner Melhoff, second by Commissioner Mutter. Any further discussion? Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Madison. Thank you for coming. All right, moving on to item number 2. We'll look at our 2026 preliminary budget presentation. Now, if Terry can get her slideshow back up there, we'll be in good shape.
I think so, yes.
There you go.
Okay, I think we're set. Good evening, President Meshke and Commissioners. The preliminary 2026 budget that I am presenting tonight was approved at the board's special meeting on July 28th of 2025. So first of all, looking at the recap by fund, we'll start with the general fund, and the general fund budgeted appropriations for 2026 are rounded up to about $7.5 million, with the revenue budgeted at just under $7.4 million. So within the general fund, fees and charges account for 50% of the revenue. Property taxes are 37% of the revenue. State aid is 7%, and the remaining 6% is from donations and miscellaneous. Our other funds besides the general fund are also itemized here, bringing the total revenue in all funds to $10.2 million. Total expenses in all funds are $9.7 million. And the surplus that you see in the Raging Rivers Fund, the Construction Fund, and the Vision Fund are all funds that are designated for specific repairs, replacements, and future projects. Here you're going to see a comparison of our full-time salaries and benefits, the actual figures for 2024, estimates for 2025, and our budget for 2026. Included in the 2026 budget is a 3% cost of living increase for full-time employees, as well as departmental dollar allocations to be used for merits, and this amount comes to an average of 1% per employee. Since we switched our health insurance coverage in 2022 to a high deductible health plan through North Dakota Fit, we continue to see significant cost savings due to the district due to our low loss ratio. So for 2026, our health insurance premium rates are increasing by 5.51%. And our total full-time salary benefits budget for 26 is $2.8 million. The next two slides here are a list of the capital outlay for 2026 funded through our Capital Improvement Fund levy. This first slide is an itemized list of the equipment purchases planned for 2026, totaling $243,000. This next slide are the capital projects budgeted for 2026, and these total $373,000. Our 2026 debt service payments are listed here. Just a few highlights on these. I wanted to remind you that the rodeo facility debt is completely covered through outside pledges and donations, and this payment in 2026 is the final payment on that project. Then the tennis center debt is covered completely by the lease from the LLC that runs the operations at the facility. And then you'll see the annual debt payment for our park maintenance shop, and then finally our special assessments annual payment and the GO bond annual payment, which is also refinanced special assessments. For the current year's budget, when looking at all the taxing entities from the county, city, schools, and parks, the Park District accounts for 10% of the entire levy. So for every dollar in local property taxes collected, 10 cents of that goes to the Park District. For 2025, our tax levy, which is for the 2026 budget, consists of, in the general fund, I apologize if it's a little hard to read, but it's $2,960,631. In our special assessment fund, the levy is $355,674. In the GO bond fund, the levy is $111,150. And in the capital improvement fund, our levy is $711,348 for a total levy by the Park District of $4,138,803. And this is a dollar difference of $150,801 more than the prior year. Now, with the recent legislation on House Bill 1176, we are now limited to a 3% increase in the dollars that we levy in our general fund and capital improvement funds, with an additional amount that is allowed for the calculation of the 3% increase on all new properties. The Special Assessment Fund and the GO Bond Fund were not included in these caps, since these are for predetermined debt and the legislature exempted them from the 3% cap, allowing us to continue to levy what is necessary to make the debt payments. So then in looking at our levy in terms of mills, you'll see our previous year mill value was $136,787, and the estimated mill value for the 2026 budget is $143,443. So it's an increase in the mill value of about $6,600. Now, with the cap on the amount that we can increase our dollars levied, our total mills have decreased from 29.15 down to 28.85, which is a slight decrease of about a third of a mill. This slide then shows the computation of the Park District share of property taxes on an average home that would be valued at $300,000, and how you go from the true and full value to the taxable valuation upon which taxes are assessed. Because of the slight decrease in our mills, those residential properties with no valuation increase in the past year will see a slight reduction in the Park District share of their annual property tax. In this example, it is a $4 decrease for the year. However, a taxpayer's increase or a decrease in the amount of their property tax depends on whether or not there is a change in the market value of their property. Over the past year, the average market increase for residential property was 3.5%. So this example shows a property previously valued at $300,000, And with an increase of 3.5% in the valuation, it would bring it to a valuation of $310,500. Therefore, this taxpayer will see an increase in park property taxes of approximately $9 a year. And again, that's due to the increase in the valuation of their property. And this is still just a 2% increase in the amount of the tax that they're being assessed over the prior year. So finally, looking at the budget calendar, the Morton County Treasurer will be providing written notice to property owners by August 31st with a list of public hearing dates, times, and locations. Our Park District public hearing is on September 8th, 2025, and this is on the 2026 budget. It will be at 5:30 here at Mandan's City Hall. So that concludes my presentation on the 2026 budget. All of the information presented here will be posted on our website tomorrow. Do you have any questions for me?
Okay, thank you, Terry. Any questions for Terry?
Terry, I got one real quick question. I'm on a roll tonight, I guess. It seems like last year or the last couple of years, we've been 10% for the total mill for taxes.
Mm-hmm.
Is that where we're always at, seems like?
We have fairly consistently, yes, been at 10%.
Thank you.
Anything else for Terry? All right, thank you, Terry. All right, moving on to item number 3, authorization to pay our monthly bills.
I'll make a motion to approve authorize payment of our monthly bills.
Motion by Commissioner Melhoff,
I'll second.
second by Commissioner Freilich. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item number 4, Commissioner staff reports. Cole, anything to add?
Yep, just a few comments. Fish clean station, as we know, has been approved to move forward. They're going to start work on that on Thursday. So you start seeing work between Thursday and Friday. Hopefully have that wrapped up by the end of August. The ADA lift is still in question if it will be able to get in before the end of freeze up, just because of the tariffs and things getting across the border from Canada to North Dakota. Still to be determined. Raging Rivers right now is 12 to 5 this week, and then it closes for the season on August 17th. And then maybe some of you have heard, but Dakota Centennial Park had their monster truck event this weekend out at Dakota Centennial Park. And the promoter of that event, which wasn't affiliated with the Stock Car Association, but the promoter had placed signs along the public street saying no parking, tow away, or vehicles will be towed. It was addressed. Stock Car Association was not aware that they were doing that. But they were charging for parking on the grounds of Dakota Centennial Park, but parking in the street is not kosher as far as what we feel either. So we addressed that with it. So if you do hear anything with that, and that's all I have.
Okay. Terry, anything else? Attorney Ruff?
Just for your information, I did have a initial discussion with the attorney for JLG with regard to the Star and Sports Complex matter. He is gone for 2 weeks. When he's back, I believe it'll be next week sometime. We'll continue our discussion, and we're looking to try to schedule a meeting for sometime September.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Mutter?
I just want to thank, Brittany gave me this information, and since the August 17th is closing date, we had 70 lifeguards, all those young people that we hired to take care of all of us at Raging Rivers, I think is awesome. But since I brought that up, we do need workers for volleyball officials, basketball scorekeepers, and MAC program for the wintertime. So if any young people or old people, even if they want a zine, that's my problem. Anyway, but if you want to raise some money or make some money, call the Parks and Rec. Thanks.
Commissioner Freilich?
Nothing.
Commissioner Melhoff?
No report.
Okay, moving on to, I guess, future meeting dates for Park Board Commissioners. Like Terry said, we'll have our public hearing, correct, on September 8th at our next board meeting, right here at 5:30. And can we get a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Motion by Commissioner Mutter,
I'll second.
second by Commissioner Freilich. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Meeting adjourned.